That's what you get for having a husky, though. All right, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. I am your host, Katie Solitis. Unfortunately, our other co-host, Jason, had a medical emergency today, so he will not be here, but we know that if he's feeling better later, he'll check in with us. Today's episode is actually a special one because I know you've heard us talk about them for the last couple of weeks. Spilling Ink has a sponsor. Our sponsor is Book Branders, and today we actually have two of the Book Branders team members and founding members, as it were, to tell us a little bit about what they do and why they do it. So I'm going to throw DJ under the bus first. Hey, DJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your inspiration for Book Branders.
Well, as Katie said, I'm DJ Rogers. I have been a book designer for many years now. I started out designing book covers for a indie publisher. And from there, it just grew, and she recommended a few clients, and I got a few more clients. And Katie at one time was one of my clients, I think. And it just kind of grew from there. And as I started doing book design, I got into interior formatting also. So with that, again, I grew into different clients who wanted their books formatted and their book covers. And then they started asking me about other services. My publisher actually asked me if I could do a web design for her. And I said, oh, no problem, because my motto is say yes and figure out how to do it. So I said yes, and I went in search of a web developer, and that's where I found Keith, my partner. And through Keith and I, we did several author websites. We did a couple of publisher websites, and we did a few other websites that didn't have anything to do with books at all. We actually did a Pilates website. I think we did, Keith, didn't we do a vitamin, some type of vitamin website?
Yeah, the Apex Health did that.
Apex Health website. We did several websites together.
Yeah.
Well, after doing the websites, then the clients wanted to know, well, can you do social media? Can you find somebody to edit my book? So Keith and I started talking, and I said, well, I have some contacts and you have some contacts. So let's, pull all those contacts in together, and instead of sending all these, inexperienced or indie authors out in 10 different directions, let's try to manage the whole project for them. Let's bring in really good, talented freelancers who do a lot of different things, and let's try to keep everybody under one roof and make sure that the client is taken care of from, whether they just want a book cover or they want us to help them go all the way down the line and self-publish their book. We're not a publisher. We don't take any rights to your books. We don't take any commissions off your books. We charge you an upfront service, and on our website, many of our prices are right there for you to look at. We're very transparent in that way. We let you know right away what the price is going to be before you even commit to us. And that's kind of how Book Branders was born. We put together a very talented team of editors, graphic designers, illustrators, publishing assistants. Am I missing? Keith, of course, is our web developer who, makes everything work on all ends of the spectrum. Without Keith, I probably wouldn't even be here tonight because I couldn't find the link.
Now, don't forget about
a book cover.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the social media and marketing expertise too, because that's very valuable.
Yes, we have just recently gotten into the social media and marketing aspect of it by pulling in a couple of really talented social media people, and we're learning a lot from them. And every person that we pull in, we learn from. But we have an awesome woman who she will do anything from just post a few ads for you for 30 days, post a few organic posts on your website. She'll write blog posts for you. She's pretty awesome. And she's been in the social media and social media marketing business for about 10 years now. So she really knows her business.
And that's an important thing. A lot of times when we talk about book publishing, people think that they've gone through the steps to produce the book and that's it. But there's so much more that has to be done after the book is out, because, you know, you can have the best edited, most beautifully covered book, but in today's marketplace where there are literally 1,000 books published every single day, if you're not out there telling people about your book in some way, they won't find it.
Exactly. It's been key even for our business in trying to launch book branders. We found that we've spent a lot more time on social media and promoting our business to bring in those indie authors. And then they come to us and say, well, you know, I wrote this book. Now what do I do? And that's kind of what we're here for, is to tell you what the next step is and help you navigate that whole crazy business of self-publishing that we all seem to have stumbled into.
Crazy is absolutely the right word for that. So Keith, let's throw you under the bus now for a minute. Tell us about your part in Book Branders.
Well, I'm the technical geek nerd guy that kind of gets the website going. You know, I tell DJ what link to click when she can't get on Google Hangouts and that kind of thing. But that's only because I speak her language. I've been in software development about 30 years. You know, I've worked in the private sector all my life and that kind of thing. For a while, I lived in Atlanta. Worked at a company there for about almost 20 years, and then met my wife, or future wife, and we decided to move away from Atlanta back to Augusta, Georgia, and that's where I'm currently at. And from there, I basically entered the web development side of the tech world and have been doing that for the past 10 plus years. Picked up a lot of experience and a lot of contacts, a lot of good stuff that, you know, I was missing out on, I guess, back in my days in Atlanta. But recently, as of a couple of years ago, I started doing freelance work, and that's where I actually met DJ. As she said earlier, we collaborated on some stuff and decided that, you know, we work really great together, and hey, why not form a company? So that's how I got involved. My end of things is, I mean, DJ's she's teaching me about book publishing. I'm still learning something every day about it. I'm more of the guy who can spin up a website and or launch a Facebook ad or Twitter ad or something for you if you need it. But you know, she's the one who handles basically all the hard work, as I call it. But again, it's a great concept. We love doing it. I mean, it's, you know, we both bring something positive to the effort, and it's mutually exclusive. It's, you know, we're not stepping on each other. She's a great designer. She's a great web designer, not just book covers and book format and all that. She could put out great social media ads. You know, she could put together, you know, nicely designed web page. So you know, that enhances what I do. So a lot of times she makes me look good at what I do, and that's, you know, that just makes it all the better. But I love the concept. I love the people we're working with. You know, we have expertise that expands, you know, from editing, you know, graphic design, illustration, social media marketing, you name it. So it's really fun to work with these people, and you know, I'm glad to be a part of it. So.
And it sounds like there's a lot of passion behind what you guys do. Now, if we break down the self-publishing process, you know, you said that quote before, I wrote the book, now what? There's a lot of different steps that go into writing the book and then producing the book and making it available in the marketplace. What has been the most asked for service that you've done so far?
I think that an indie author that writes a book and has never self-published a book, they have this grand idea that, hey, I'm going to write this book. It's going to go out there and people are just going to come and find it and buy it. That is so not the case. There are so many steps between writing the end and putting that book to market. And then once you put the book to market, it still is not completed, because now You are in charge of marketing that book. Literally, you have to go out there and hawk that book and sell that book and talk to people about it and get social media up and have a Facebook page and a website and all these things. So what Book Branders does is we take that author and we hold their hand and we say, okay, you've written your book. Now the next step would be A. And after you do A, then you need to do B. So what we recommend, the very next step we recommend, which a lot of indie authors want to skip this step altogether, is get your book edited by a professional. We don't care if it's an inexpensive professional, as long as they're a good professional. We will try to find you the best professional that matches not only your genre, but your personality, your cadence, your voice. So we're not going to throw you to an English professor if you're writing an erotica book or a fantasy book and they don't have a clue how to edit that book or that cadence. So what Book Branders does is we match you with that professional, but we don't throw you at that professional. We manage that project. We go find the professional. We have a lot of them on staff, but if none of our staff members meet that requirement, we will go and find a professional that will meet your requirement. So we manage that project from start to finish, but we don't expect you to buy every piece of the project from us. We'll do as little or as much as you'd like. We will take your book from written to published to marketed, and you still retain all of the profits. You still retain all of your rights. We don't take any of that. We're very upfront and transparent about our pricing and what we will and won't do for you. We actually today just turned down a client. We did it very nicely and very gently, and I got back a really nice little note saying, I'm very sorry we won't be working with you, but can we keep in touch? So we did everything we could to try to accommodate what she needed, but what she really needed was a large professional ad agency. She needed someone that she could spend $5,000 a month with that was going to dedicate a lot of time to her. And that's not really us. We're not that large agency. We are, I know I'm an indie publisher. Katie, you're an indie publisher. Keith is ready to write his first book just so he can use one of Neil's illustrated book covers. Mm-hmm. Because they are pretty awesome. Yeah. But we will take you from start to finish, or we'll take you step by step. And we're not going to push you into anything that you're not comfortable with. And we're not going to ask you to do anything that you don't want to do. If you don't like your cover, we'll find a new cover designer. We'll find someone who will make that cover right for you.
Yeah, I like that you've got the services set up to be a la carte as well as package, because you might have somebody who's already done the editing step and they're coming to you needing a cover and interior formatting, and maybe they're going to do their own marketing, or maybe it's a brand new author who's just written the end, doesn't know a thing about publishing, and needs their hands held to get through each of these small steps. So that's good that you offer that flexibility and the kind of the hands off of, yes, this is what you need to do. I'm not going to push you to do it, but I'm here if you need me. I like that.
Yeah. And we do have clients at every stage of the game. We have a client right now who has written his book. His book was edited. His book was formatted. And Katie, I know you and I worked on getting his pre-sale up. So we, all he wanted us to do was get it published onto Amazon for him. So that's what we did for him. We charged him to do that. We got an author assistant to do that and make that happen for him. And he's tickled pink, and he's writing his next book. And now he wants to come back to us and say, okay, I want you to do this time. I want you to do my editing. I want you to do my cover design. I want you to do, he had all that stuff for this book. And we have another client who went to a vanity press, and I hate to even say the word, but she paid close to $3,000 to have her book edited, covered, published, and printed, and she's miserable with the book. She doesn't like the cover. The editing was horrible. They shipped her 25 hardcover books at a very high cost, and there are so many mistakes in it, she won't even give them away. That's how bad it is. And the publisher the vanity press that she used is charging $25 for a paperback book. Nobody's going to buy a self-published paperback book.
And she's locked in for like a year with them,
Yeah,
right?
she's locked into it for a year.
Oh, that's horrible.
But of course, we went into the site, and I'm not going to mention any names, but we went into the site and we looked, and we can get her out of it. So we're working with her right now to get her rights back, to get her book back, and we're going to re-edit it, reformat it, and recover it, and then republish it.
There's a lot of need for consumer education when it comes to the publishing process. And I think that's where a lot of these vanity publishers continue to prey upon the new authors, is they make it seem so hard, and they'll take care of everything for you with a blanket cost for it, not going over the steps with you, not telling you what exactly needs to be done, how they're going to do it, and what your input into the process is. And that you end up with horror stories like that. I can't tell you how many times I've done talks and I've had people tell me that they've spent upwards of $3,000 and $4,000 for their first book. And I'm here giving a talk on how to do, how to self-publish a book and keep your budgeting down. And they're like, I wish I had heard this before I did my first book. It's just sad. And there are so many steps. It is intimidating. It's not just simply writing the end. It's not just simply sending it to an editor. There's cover art, there's interior formatting, there's different types of formatting, trim sizes for print books if you're going to go hardcover and soft cover. Ebooks, there's different kinds of ebook formatting that needs to be done. And then there's the administrative part. All of those distributors, those websites that you have to have accounts for, you have to know what needs to go to each one, which files fit each one. Do you need an ISBN? Don't you need an ISBN? There's so many question marks up there. It's very easy for anyone to get intimidated.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what we're here to solve. I mean, that's exactly the kind of client we're looking for. I mean, you're confused, just come to us. We'll talk about it. Let's see what we can do. And that's why we're here. So,
and that true benefit of you guys having the a la carte setup, you're only going to work for them for as much as they want you to. You're not going to say you have to do all of this, because if you're going to sign on with us, that's our deal.
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, so okay, we talked about the step-by-step process. So when somebody hires you, how fast are you able to jump onto their project?
We jump on their projects right away. We offer if they need a quote, if they order online, which you can go to our website and say, I want a book cover, and press the button and pay for it. And we are on it within 24 hours. At that point, we produce your first set of proofs within 24 hours of the order coming into us. Different projects take different amounts of time, of course, but we try to be as fast and efficient as possible. And then we have clients who will turn around an interior formatting in about 3 days. And then we'll have clients that'll sit on it for a week or 2 weeks, or, and I always try to touch base with them every couple of days and ask them if they have any questions. And it's not just me, it's our other formatters, our editors. We try to give them a very clear timeline, and one of our best mottos is promise long, deliver short. So we might tell you 4 days, and we may have it back to you in 2. So we basically, we're pretty quick on what we do. We put up a website that had to go up for an author who was actually doing a nationally syndicated television show. We put that up in 3 days. And that was a full-blown website. And most people will tell you 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's really fast.
I mean, it could have been quicker. It's just we had to wait on DNS to propagate. We could have had it probably inside of day and a half, but that's life of the internet. So.
And speed's important. A lot of people, again, they don't understand the process, and everybody wants everything yesterday.
Exactly.
And things do take time, and you have to be able to move with a reasonable speed. But 24-hour turnaround for first proofs, that's almost unheard of in this industry.
It
So,
really is, and we're very quick. We're very quick at getting back to them. And I find a lot of it is not even so much as the fast turnaround, it's the fast communication.
mhm.
They don't really expect you to have a full-blown approved book cover in 24 hours. But if they hear from you and they see that you're starting with their process, and I say, okay, let's talk about, let's get your form filled out, and that might take them 24 hours to get their form filled out, because we have an extensive form system where they go in and they fill out all their information, everything that we need to know. And then once that form gets submitted to us, we're within 24 hours of turning around a book cover, usually 48 to 72 hours on an interior format first proof. And then we offer, once they've given us that approval or those corrections, we're within 24 hours of getting it back to them.
That's excellent. And you're right. It's communication is really the important part of it. And then, of course, delivery. I've got a client, because I do freelance on the side. That's how I started working with you guys.
Right.
I have a client who came to me a couple years back because I was able to immediately jump on her project. And
Right.
she'd been with another formatter that she loved, and she didn't want to step away from that formatter, but they were so backed up that they couldn't get her work done. And I said, I'll have it to you within 3 business days. And it's that promise long, deliver short, same thing. I had it within 24 hours, her first proof. Now, of course, it's not perfect. It's a proof. But because I had it to her within 24 hours and we started the corrections process, she was impressed. And to this day, a couple of years later, she has at least 4 projects a year.
Right.
She sends me an email, and she sent me one this morning. Do you have time for me? And I always answer yes. I always have time for her.
And so that's the perfect thing about book branders is, if I don't personally have time to work on your project, I have so many links out there that I can pull in to your project and still get that project done in that amount of time.
That's right, because you've got all the connections.
Correct.
Which that's really important. And that's probably the best part of the book branders package, is that you are connected to so many different people who are already working within the industry, that there's always going to be an answer. There's always going to be somebody that can do it. And the self-publishing author doesn't have to frantically scramble to find whatever connection they need. That one point of contact and that immediate response is so important.
Correct. Yeah, you'll see 5 or 6 people on our website, and they are what we call our core team. They're our department managers, as you will. If you see an editor on the website, it may not particularly be that editor that you're working with, but that editor is your project manager. They're going to make sure that the person that they pull in is doing your project and doing it in the time frame that you need it done in, and they're going to make sure that it's done right, because it's going to pass back through them. So if I send my editor manager a project and she says, oh, I just don't have time to do it, I'm not left holding the bag. She is responsible for reaching out to her finger of wonderful, talented editors and her editors groups and finding someone who is available right away to do it.
Now, editing, that's usually the most expensive part of the process. Have you run into any issues where new authors are kind of stunned by the cost on that? And what do you do to help?
Yes, new authors are always stunned at the cost of an edit, but I try to instill in them that editing is probably one of the most important parts. Yes, they judge your book by its cover, but they judge it by so much more. If your book is full of grammatical or spelling errors, I'm going to put a book down within the first 2 chapters if I can't understand it or follow it. And there's so much more to editing than just content and spelling. A good editor will help you with your cadence, with your backgrounds. I mean, they do so much more than just spell check. Any English teacher can spell check your book. But an editor goes in and says, okay, this context is wrong, or your you're skipping over a great plot point here. I mean, Katie, you know, you work with an awesome editor that we both work with, and she will come back to you and literally say to you, this is wrong. You need to fix this. You know, this part of the story is not matching with the next part of the story. So content editors are very valuable.
And continuity as well. If you misspelled a character's name somewhere, they'll catch it. If you had an incorrect description about a character early on and then it's different later on, they'll catch it. So editors have a very important job, but there's also different levels of editing too. And sometimes that can change the cost variable when you go for that edit. If you're only looking for, let's say, a copy edit versus a full developmental edit, which, you know, that's going to be the most expensive. That's the one where they really spend a lot of time with you. So do you sometimes offer different levels of editing to that author?
We do. We offer anything from just a proof copy edit, just proofing the spelling and the grammar and that kind of thing, all the way up to a full-blown content editor that will spend weeks with you helping you develop your story into what it needs to be. They're not going to rewrite the story for you, but they will make you such a better writer. They just,
after they're done, like, cry.
Sometimes I get my story back from my editor and I'm like, wait, did I write that? And she's like, I wrote it, I just fixed it.
Yeah, the editing is always the love-hate stage. I know sometimes I'll get my red lines back and I'm just like, no, I don't want to look at these. It's too painful.
It is. It's like you took out all the best stuff. They're like, no, we didn't. We really didn't.
Well, and the thing with editing too, again, as you become more competent as an author, in the beginning, you do everything your editor tells you to the letter. As you get a little bit more comfortable with your writing, then you start pushing back a little. And it's like that friendly banter between the two of you. And the editor almost always still wins, but at least you start making a case for why you said certain things.
At least you have a good argument now instead of just, I want it that way. But that's the way I want it.
That leads to compromise though, because then there's been issues where, you know, my editor will send back something and I don't agree with it because I don't think she read it the way I intended it. And that's obviously my fault for not writing it correctly. And I'll come back and I'll say, this is what I meant to say. And what if I switch this around and this around? And she'll recorrect that. And together we'll come up with a compromise where it wasn't exactly what she originally said to me, but it wasn't exactly what I originally wrote either.
And that's a key point for why not to edit your own books, because you know what you meant to say, but to your reader who is not in your head and does not live with your characters every day and does not dream about them and drink with them and eat with them and talk to them in places that they shouldn't be, you will find that someone looking at your words from a different perspective can add a perspective that you didn't see because you know what you want to say, but you may not really be saying that.
Mm-hmm. They're a good example of that. The conference that I went to this summer, it's actually a combat conference. It's all about fighting, but they have a writer's track on it. And one of the panels that they did is called Page to Stage. And what they do is you can submit a 1 or 2 page story or scene idea. And if you're selected, they will actually have professional stuntmen come in and act it out, which I think was so much fun.
Oh, how cool.
And this author, definitely a new author, definitely somebody who had not gone through multiple drafts. The scene was fun, but as the actors were stepping in and acting the role out, you could see all of the gaps in the story. And there would be a lot of times where up on the panel, we would say, pause, this is what needs to be here. This is what's missing. And your actor got it, but it's not in the story. And if a person's reading it, they're not going to necessarily interpret it the way that the actor did. So it was really cool to be able to make that comparison and show that author what was missing visually.
Wow. Yeah, to us, step 1 is the edit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after that, next most expensive item on the docket, cover art.
Yes.
And that's the other one that's very important because you know the old adage, judge a book by its cover. We all do. When
Yes.
you're, strolling through the bookstore, you're looking at the covers. If you're online at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, what have you, you're scrolling through little tiny thumbnails. And that book has got to stand out if you want somebody to stop and read your synopsis.
Exactly.
So you've got to make sure that those are covered, and budgeting accordingly for those is something that a lot of new authors just don't know yet.
Right.
And I know when I do talks about this, I break it down for them and I show them, what average costs for these are and what high costs are and how quickly they add up and where your initial budget should be. And if you don't have that to start with, then you need to find a way to get that money set aside. Because if you skip these steps, you're not doing your book any service.
Correct. And you can go to any Amazon or book site and literally pick out the book covers that were done by inexperienced authors who thought that they were going to save a dime by doing their own covers. And there are some very talented indie authors out there that are doing their own covers and are doing a fabulous job. But there's a huge learning curve to the programs that you need to do really good covers. You can't really do a cover in Word and have it look like it belongs on a bookshelf or in a bookstore.
Absolutely.
You mean I can't have a clip art?
I've had friends who have learned Photoshop specifically to do their own covers, and they took a lot of time in learning. And you can tell, I mean, it shows in their work. And yes, they now can save on the cover art costs, but they did spend the time investment learning how to do it.
That monthly service fee for Photoshop.
Oh, yeah.
That's not something that comes free. And like you said, there is a huge learning curve to all of those programs. And a lot of people even formatting. I know that, Katie, you still format your books in Word, correct?
I do, and I've got a macros program that helps me line everything up.
Right, right. That is a very difficult process to learn, is to format a book in Word. I do my formatting in InDesign, which has an even bigger learning curve than Photoshop does. But the books are beautiful. I mean, they're phenomenal. Not to say that the Word books can't be phenomenal, but I find it a lot more difficult to make it really pretty and get the clip art in or the graphics in where you want them. I do a lot of really fancy chapter headers and interior imaging and, like shadows of the cover on the half cover and stuff like that. So they look really professional and very, very put together.
Yeah, and you're going to pay for those different levels of service.
Right.
You can do a Word formatted book and it might be cheaper, or you can do the full professional InDesign layout. And because of the time cost in that, it might be more expensive. But again, you're offering your clients the ability to have those services as they need them. You're not shoving that again, into their onto their plate saying you have to do this if you're going to work with us.
Right.
And just with everything else, just like with the editing, there's different levels of editing. There's different levels of cover art. There's different levels of formatting. When it comes to the author assistant, there's different levels of things that an author's assistant can do. It's not just, putting your book on Amazon. Sometimes it dips into social media. Sometimes it dips into blogging, things like that. There's a lot of different levels of things that you can choose if you want or not use if you don't want.
Correct.
But they all go into the whole self-publishing bubble.
Right. And we don't force you into any of those parts or pieces. If you only want us to do your book cover, we are more than happy to only do your book cover.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, since we're touching on the author services, you are very well aware of the CreateSpace KDP switchover. How has that affected you so far? Because I know that the templates aren't the same between the two.
Painfully. Let's just say we went into it kicking and screaming. CreateSpace made it so easy for us just to upload a client's book and be done with it, because they pretty much handled everything, and everything came out good. And if there was an issue, you could talk to them, you could get a hold of them. It was a really easy process, and KDP is not quite as easy to work with. Their templates are a little different. Their time frames are a little different. Their processes are different. But, you know, we got used to working with CreateSpace, so we'll get used to working with KDP. And we find that in some of our higher end books, we might go a different route.
Yeah, there are other options out there. Ingram Spark is a lot of the self-publisher, the indie publisher, I should say, not the self-publisher, the indie publisher available worldwide distributor. They actually, CreateSpace and KDP use them on the back end, whether or not people know about it.
Right.
They're the big one out there. Barnes & Noble, who's struggled a little bit with their self-publishing arm, actually offers print and hardbound as one of their options. And I've heard a few of my self-publishing friends look at that and say, you know, I might want to get a hardbound book done through them. So they're becoming a viable option at this point. They've been kind of shaky the last few years because they rolled out Nook, I think it was Pubit, and then they went to Nook Press and then Barnes & Noble Press, and they've changed names and changed what they do so often that they haven't really found their footing. But I think what they offer now is starting to catch the eye of a lot of the independents out there. Before Ingram Spark came out, it was Lightning Source, but Lightning Source would only work with you if you were a small press self-publisher.
Correct.
So if you were publishing, I think it was 10 to 20 books a year, you might be able to qualify to work with them. Ingram Spark is now, if you're publishing one book a year, that's who you can use. But on the flip side with that one, unlike KDP, which is 100% free to do, Ingram Spark does have costs that are associated with it.
Yeah, but it's well worth the cost. I believe it's worth the cost.
I do too, for the freedom of movement that you get with them. They are not owned by Amazon, which is kind of hard to say these days. Amazon pretty much owns everything. Because you have to provide your own ISBN, you own that book 100%. Even if you wrote the book and you publish it at KDP, you're using KDP's ISBN. They own that ISBN.
Right.
That's part of your book that they will forever have a right to, whether or not it's a big issue or not. If you want to move your book anywhere else, you can't, and take that ISBN with you.
And we recommend to our clients that they can get a free ISBN through KDP. It used to be CreateSpace, but through them, but they can only publish through them.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take their book to Barnes & Noble or, you know, any of the other places with that ISBN because it belongs to KDP. And so we suggest that they buy their own ISBN, and we just kind of lead them to it and let them buy it. We don't handle any of the ISBNs that way. We don't own their books. We don't own their rights. We take them where they need to go, suggest to them that if they're going to write more than one book a year, they need to buy a bundle. But if they're only going to ever write the one book, just buy one ISBN, bite the bullet, pay the price, and move on, because now you can publish your book anywhere you want to publish it.
Yeah. One thing to remember is for the people who are publishing more than one book, bookstores don't necessarily like CreateSpace and KDP published books for a couple of reasons. One, they're not returnable. And bookstores don't like to take a gamble on anything that they buy. If they're purchasing books and they don't sell, they don't want to be stuck with them. So they do not like books that are not returnable. They also have to have a set market discounted rate. They want to buy them wholesale. You have no control over what that discounted rate is going through KDP. They set it. Hopefully it's at a fair market value, but you don't have control on that. All you see is your royalty if a book gets sold. With Ingram Spark, you do have options to change your wholesale rates. You do have options to make your books returnable. And that makes you a little more attractive when it comes to getting your books into bookstores or trying to get a signing in a bookstore. Because a lot of times they want you to, you know, have those books available so they can order them and control that process.
Correct. So the other thing we offer, and we try to encourage our clients to do, are author websites, and that's pretty much Keith's domain there. Pun intended.
Yeah.
So Keith, if you want to tell them a little bit about all the different types of services we offer, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. We initially, we just don't make any assumptions about your current situation. I mean, you may already have a domain name. You may actually already have a website. So we try to fit our services to compensate for that. I mean, do you need maintenance on that website, or do you want to make plans eventually to convert it to a blog, WordPress-based kind of site? Do you want to move your hosting from some horrible web host to us? I mean, and pay for, a maintenance plan or whatever. We offer all those kind of things. We also offer a full out, fully designed website, per your brand, and we'll put it on our hosting service and run it for you. So we run the gamut of all those. We can go get your domain name for you. We can give you an email address. All those things are available. Everything is behind an SSL certificate. Everything is encrypted. More likely than not, though, the encryption part, I mean, you're just, unless you're selling something on your website, the SSL part is not that critical, but we offer it for you anyway. So, anything you want, basically, we can offer, and we're competitive on price. I mean, we're not going to leave you behind. We just give you the options of, what you want. I mean, we'll take care of it. So.
Now, for an author website, a lot of times authors also blog on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Does that come as part of the website, or is that like an additional add-on?
No, absolutely. It's you want to blog, we can enable the blog portion of a WordPress site. I mean, that's.
Yeah, we have 3 levels. We have a startup website, and then we have a 3-page site and a 5-page site. So you can kind of pick where you want to start, and then you can add on pages. Keith kind of handles that whole end of it. So go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have different levels. I mean, it's we have clients that just have a single page website. They are just, they have all their information out there, all the books, links that go back to the Amazon page for the individual book. We also have, a couple of clients that just have they have a website where they use a PayPal button that they actually sell their book from the website on. So, we offer that. But like DJ was saying, we offer a 3 and a 5-page base site, a single price for that design, and then the hosting would be separate for that. But once we configure something like blogging, I mean, that's, it's set up, it's ready to go. You can have as much as you want. We price based on the kind of content you want and how much content you want to put out there. Obviously, if you want an about us, a contact us, and a front page, I mean, we're going to price for that. But if you want just several product kind of pages and, maybe a white paper or something, I'm thinking outside the publishing realm. But, obviously, the time for that is going to take a little longer. So that's where the cost could run up. We would train you to, add your own content. So, there are ways to save money on those kind of things. So, again, we're gearing for the inexperienced person who has never had a website before and never actually, logged into a back end like WordPress or whatever. So, but it's turnkey. Once we're done, you're ready to go.
Now, what would you recommend for that brand new author versus, let's say, somebody who's got a huge backlist who is just looking to reinvent themselves, rebrand themselves?
Well, for someone who's never had a website before, and let's start with the beginner, your first book, and all you want to do is just get it out there. Single page website would work just fine. It provides the basics, your contact information, your book information, all that, outbound links to wherever you want to point it to Amazon or wherever, to get your book. That's a no-brainer. What that buys you is, as you write more books, you can scale up from that, expand from that. You can put whatever. We can reconfigure it however you want. After that, if you have multiple books and you want to dedicate landing pages for each book, we could do that. For someone who's wanting to reinvent themselves, rebrand, kind of, we could do that. I mean, part of our name is branders, so we're unlimited on that. It's, you know, if you want a new color scheme for your book or whatever, you know, or if you have a book and you've established your brand based on that book, we could certainly build your design around that on the website and go from there. You know, a lot of that would involve things like, I mean, if you're, especially if you want to rebrand yourself, you know, we would recommend a social media platform that would work for you. You know, engagement, in my opinion, is, in this day and age, is probably the most important thing that you can do to get your, to promote your book. I mean, it's, you spend all that work on the book and you've paid all this money to get it published. You know, why not get it out, get the word out, you know, and that's where we can help. You know, we can certainly get you on a Facebook or Twitter platform, and you know, we can even run ads for you. But you know, we can certainly help you push the word out that way, and your website can be used to enhance that portion of it too. So,
yeah, you make a really good point about social media and getting out there. That's another area that's really confusing to a lot of people too, because it's not just one site to go to. You got Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat. Am I missing any?
Pinterest.
Don't even get me started on that one. So yeah, there's the black hole of social media, and you know, everyone says we got to get out there and you got to be interactive with people. Well, how do you do that? Where do you do that? Which one's more important to be on than another? And that becomes another area of confusion for authors who are not wanting to spam, but end up spamming because that's the only thing they know how to do, you know, because there's so many platforms out there. So
yeah, I'm sorry, didn't mean
no, go ahead. Go ahead. If you got something, jump right in.
Okay. I'm a big believer in newsletters. I think the best way to reach your reader is to get to them directly. And the best way to do that is get to their email and, you know, send your content to them, send your updates. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't even have to be every week. But, you know, I have several authors I look forward to hearing from, and I sign up on all their newsletters. I mean, there's one author I follow now, Michael J. Sullivan, who he's putting out books about once every 9 months now. He's that busy. So, you know, I'm always on the lookout for him for that. And I also follow him on social media. So it's one of those things where, you know, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades, sort of. I mean, especially with social media. Facebook, it runs a range of ages. I mean, the demographics on those, on that platform, it runs from, you know, 15 up to 85. I mean, from grandmothers to, you know, your daughter could be on that thing. So, but Snapchat's unique to teenagers. Twitter, their demographic runs 25 to 45. Pinterest, I mean, God knows what the demographics for that, you know. But the point I'm trying to make is you got to figure a way to reach all of those people if they're in your demographic. I mean, if that's your reader base, then, you know, we need to know that, and we need to attack it and figure out how to get the word out. But your common platform, your common base is going to be, you know, a newsletter, you know, through MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that.
And that's something that book branders can guide you on through social media assistance too.
Absolutely, yes. And we have a team for that. I mean, we have 2 or 3 different people. Admittedly, I'm not an expert on that. I'm still learning as I go, but I certainly understand the importance of it. But
10 years into this industry myself, and I still need help with social media.
Yeah, it's a whole different game. I mean, it's just there are just people out there dedicated to doing nothing but hitting like buttons. I mean,
well, and there's always, you know, there's always a new algorithm that's changing. Facebook is a great example of that. Facebook has changed the way that you view things so many times in the last 10 years. You know, it's not just whatever's posted is visible. A lot of times it's the most common interactions with people are visible, and somebody can post something that's liked you or that you've liked them, and you won't see it for maybe a week because it just doesn't circulate through unless it's getting enough interaction on its own.
Right. And not only that, but, you know, I'm noticing, and I guess Facebook's algorithm picked up that I like fantasy authors because I'm seeing a lot of sponsored ads involving, and I don't know if they're independent or what, but I see a lot of fantasy-based authors targeting me. So you're competing with that also. I mean, it's, you know, we call it organic. If, you know, if you're an author and you have your own book, Facebook page as an author, and you're just, you know, putting a post out there, that's organic. You're competing, your organic post that you put $0 in is competing against a sponsored ad. So, you know, that even thins out the reach even more, because the paid amount is going to get there first before yours is. So, you know, the average person that likes your page in general will see your post eventually, but it's going to be way down in your stack on your wall. You may or may not get there because, you know, you may be tired of looking at Facebook and not even see that. So,
you know, a great example of this happened today to me, actually. A local author was having a book signing at a bookstore that I actually met him at a couple months back, and I would have stopped by had I known that he was having a book signing today. I saw it posted. I looked at the date and timestamp on that post. It was posted a week ago. Had I known, had I seen it, I would have gone. I just now saw it at 3:30 today, and his book signing was from 11 till 3 p.m. today.
Yeah. Wow. And that happens more than you think. I mean, I've had similar things happen. You know, just, you know, a lot of Reddit stuff, you'll see ask me anything kind of things. And I've missed several of those from people I follow for that exact reason you just mentioned. You know, hey, I'm going to be on Reddit. Well, that was 2 days ago. Of course, I can always go back and find it, but, you know, I'd like to be there and live and be able to ask a question. But
well, and that's why there's like the rise of Hootsuite and Social Oomph, and there's a bunch of other different ones, Buffer, these social media managers that it's a one click and post to all kind of a thing. So that, yeah, your post is still technically trying to fight for that organic reach, but you're hitting all of the platforms all at once. And hopefully through that, you'll gain that extra organic viewership that you needed.
Somebody's going to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Is the hope.
It's always the hope. And I'm not 100% sure of how well it works, because yes, I use them too, but I don't always see great spikes on things. You know, it might take a few days before something even gets looked at. So it's hard to tell whether or not you're getting that extra oomph rather than just going to each individual one and posting it.
And my personal opinion on that is I think Facebook designed it that way. I think they want people to spend money on their ad platform to get their post out there. They want to turn that organic post into a boosted post. So, you know, it's the price you pay for being on a platform like Facebook, and same goes with Twitter. So,
well, the big trend with Facebook and Twitter now are the video. If you've got a video, we actually track this. We published some really cool content, and we got very little spike on it. We published one video that Neil put together of the, I think you saw it, Katie, where he animated one of his graphics. It was like the man with the cape in the woods. He animated that, and we got 1,000 clicks on it in a week. So the video outsold anything else that we were doing out there, that we've been doing out there for the last month.
Interesting.
Yeah, video, anything that grabs, anything that moves, that's animated, that's going to get attention. And, you know, that's kind of the trend.
Does those too.
What's that?
And Book Branders does those too.
Yeah, we do.
I laugh because I just turned off all of my auto plays when it comes to social media, because it was getting to the point where I would scroll down my timeline and it would constantly slow me down because everybody had videos. And I couldn't get to the actual posts anymore because it was just nothing but wall-to-wall videos. And of course, some of them are really cute, some are funny, and then you end up spending an hour and you really haven't seen anything. So yeah, I turned all of mine off.
And now they found a way to make memes as videos. I mean, they should be static pictures. They don't do anything but just display there, but they're actual videos.
They turn them into a GIF, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, the other big thing that's coming out right now are the animated book covers. Have you seen them on Amazon?
I love those.
They're awesome, and we're doing those too. We've just started getting into doing the animated book covers, and they're so cool. I actually had a video that I was trying to get up on the large screen behind me that showed a lot of that stuff, and it just, I've got an old PC. I'm using my good computer to do the broadcast, and I've got an old PC that I was trying to get the video to load on, and it was just not working. So I was like, forget it. I'll just put the website up there.
It sounds like you guys really do have your finger on the pulse of publishing. And I think that the service that book branders offer is going to be beneficial to a lot of authors, and not just the new authors, but sometimes even the seasoned authors who really just need to let somebody else handle a few things.
Right. And we will do as much or as little as you want. We will just do your book cover. We will just help you redesign a cover. In fact, we're going to start what we call the ugly cover contest. So you submit a cover that maybe you did for yourself that you're not happy with, and once a month we'll draw a person that will get a brand new branded book cover, a nice, beautiful, professional book cover to replace their old one. And we're just going to call it the ugly book cover contest.
I love that. Now, speaking of giveaways, you guys were offering a giveaway to viewers watching this episode?
Yes, we are. We have a complete book package, which would be covers for your print and ebook, your print and ebook interior formatting, 3 social media ads. I think it's listed out up there somewhere.
It's on the front page, I think.
Yeah, it's on the front page of our site.
Now, how long is this giveaway going to be open for? Can people who watch the broadcast over the weekend still enter, or?
I think that is there anyone out there who's in for the contest? Because we actually made a stipulation that they must be present to win, but it doesn't look like we've got a lot of interaction going on. So maybe we'll do a drawing tonight for one prize, and then we'll let them do the broadcast and enter to win another one.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a few viewers watching right now, but it looks like they're kind of being shy.
Well, don't be shy. It's a $600 book design package or a $600 website.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Let's hear something from someone in the chat at least.
Yeah, somebody jump in there. Say, I want that prize.
Yeah. Who are you?
Come on, don't be shy.
It's always funny when I can see the viewers' numbers go up and down as we're on the show. I can see them there, but they don't always want to chat, or sometimes maybe they can't find the chat because there's underneath the video there's to post comments, but to the right, is usually where the chat window is, and a lot of people tend to miss that.
Right.
But yeah. If you want to do the drawing,
we do have a list of people that signed up, so we can choose from that list, and then we can just notify them. If they're online, they can chime in. If they're not online, we can notify them by email. So let's give one away tonight, and then let's give one away for a broadcast. And it's actually your choice. You either choose the book package or the web design.
That's a tough decision too, because both.
I know.
Some important things, and that's a lot of money that you'd be saving by winning that prize.
Exactly, and both of those are valued at $5.95 each on the website. So that's a lot of money for a new author, for a first-time author, or for any author really. I mean, if you've got 3 books out there and you just haven't had time to get a website up, grab that prize and run with it. So, Keith, you want to pick a number? I think you have the list.
Yeah, let me pick. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to be as random as I possibly can. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go with number 4. And that one is Jade Garcia. That's
Jade or Jade?
Jade Garcia. That's the first name.
Jade, are you out there? Chime in. Well, I guess not, but we'll contact her. She's the winner.
Okay, and we're going to save the other one for
we'll save the other one for when they do the rebroadcast. They can announce or put up a little blurb and say that they can still enter to win, and we'll go ahead and go on our social and extend the coupon out.
Okay.
It's a good idea. And Katie, since we are your corporate sponsor, we want to offer for every one of your shows a door prize. So you guys can have people just type in the chat box whatever you choose to announce during that thing. And the options are, Keith, I think we made a list of that. Do you have that list in front of you?
I have it right here. Yeah, it's social media ad package, which is 3 ads, medium square, professionally done, $30 value, or 50 bookmarks, a $38 value, 50 rack cards, $33 value, or 10 11 by 17 posters, another $30 value.
Those are some great media, especially if you're doing any kind of book signings, to have those kind of things available.
Yeah, so
you can feel free to give those away at will once a week.
That's wonderful. I'm sure Jason will be excited about that.
Tell him he's not eligible to win.
He actually sent me a message this morning because he's going to be handling a lot of the in-person live Comic-Con attendance on his side of the country, and I'm doing a lot on our side. And he's going to be doing Chicago Comic-Con soon. And he sent me the approval for his press passes, and then sent me a request to send him our business cards. And I really hadn't done official business cards for Spilling Ink, so now I've got to get that going. So we can start passing those out. But yeah, that's wonderful stuff to have on hand when you are doing book signings or attending events. Sometimes I'll even go to an event, not as an attendee, but go and exchange cards with people. So having any kind of print media on hand is super, super helpful.
Yeah, and those rack cards are awesome because they're like a postcard, and they're great to pass out because they're really nice, because on one side you could literally do your book cover, and then on the back side have all your contact information and publishing information on the back side.
Yeah, and if you're an author who has multiple book series, you can actually line them all up and have the blurbs and everything there so that people know what books you have, what's the reading order on the books that you've got. And it's a great handy dandy quick reference guide.
Yeah, and all that's a little bit more of a value because I'll be doing the design for free.
Can't beat
free
that.
As in beer.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to tell us before our time is up for tonight?
Well,
give us a call. Contact us.
We've touched on a lot of great topics, and even for the people who watch the rebroadcast of this, there's a lot of information to kind of soak in. And when you're ready, give book branders an email. Contact them to find out how they can help you. You don't have to be tied into a major contract to do a lot of work. You can choose the services that you need to help you get your book out, and that is the most important thing.
Thank you, Katie.
For all of our viewers, as always, like and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified when we do our shows. We are weekly every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and every third Friday of the month with Drinks with Authors. Thank you, DJ and Keith, for hanging with us today. And I hope everybody out there watching, even though you were too shy to comment in the chat window, I hope you got a lot of good information from this show.
Great. Thanks for having us.
We'll see you guys again.
Right. See you.